When hard money fails, society pays. Throughout history, societies have organized their money systems in different ways. Sometimes the money system is designed to adapt when the world changes. Other times, it's designed not to. One approach favors flexibility. The other favors constraint. Hard money belongs to the second group. It often feels like the safer option. If money can't be created easily, it seems harder to abuse. Prices feel more stable, and the rules of the system feel clearer and more predictable. So it's natural to assume that hard money protects society. But societies don't stand still. Populations grow, economies evolve, and shocks occur: wars, crises, technological change. And when those changes happen, something in the system has to adjust. So the real question isn't whether hard money is good or bad, it's this: if the money system can't adapt when the world changes, what has to? We have already seen that money systems can be designed to prioritize either stability or flexibility. In this episode, we examine what happens when stability is prioritized, when the system is deliberately built to resist change. Across history, societies tend to organize their money systems around two broad approaches. One emphasizes flexibility, allowing money to adjust as conditions change. The other emphasizes constraint, deliberately limiting how money can expand. These aren't ideological choices, they're responses to limits. Hard money systems tie money to something scarce and difficult to expand, most often a commodity like gold or silver. That scarcity is meant to impose discipline on the money system itself. It limits discretionary expansion, restricts short-term political pressure, and places firm boundaries around monetary creation. And hard money does more than constrain behavior. It also anchors trust. By tying money to something outside day-to-day decision-making, hard money reduces the need to trust institutions, policymakers, or promises. Trust shifts away from discretion and toward the rule itself, especially the credibility of convertibility. That's why hard money repeatedly returns after inflation, financial crisis, or institutional failure. But every system solves one problem by shifting another. Constraints don't disappear. They decide where adjustment is allowed to happen. Hard money doesn't mean valuable money, and it doesn't mean moral or virtuous money. It means constrained money. In hard money regimes, the monetary base is anchored to something scarce. The ability to expand money at will is limited by convertibility rules rather than discretionary policy. Money still moves. Banking systems create credit, and gold flows affect liquidity. But the ability to absorb large shocks through policy is constrained by the need to maintain the anchor. That constraint is intentional. It's designed to limit discretionary expansion, reduce manipulation, and enforce long-run discipline. Because of that, hard money relies less on ongoing institutional judgment. The rule becomes the guarantor. Trust is placed in the constraint and in the credibility of its enforcement. This gives hard money a distinct character. It moves slowly, feels predictable, and resists sudden change. Over short periods, that can feel stabilizing. But constraint doesn't stop economic dynamics. Production changes, trade patterns shift, populations grow or shrink, wars erupt, crises hit. Hard money doesn't prevent change. It determines how change is absorbed. Hard money appeals first at a human level. It promises protection through limitation. When money can't be expanded easily, prices tend to move more slowly over the long run. Purchasing power feels more predictable. Long-term contracts feel safer. There's less visible intervention and fewer sudden policy shifts. That sense of restraint matters most after disruption, after inflation, currency collapse, financial crisis, or political instability. In those moments, flexibility feels risky. Discretion feels dangerous. Rules feel safer than judgment. Hard money becomes a substitute for trust. Instead of trusting institutions or policymakers, society trusts the constraint itself. Stability becomes associated with immobility. Discipline becomes associated with fairness. Over time, this creates a powerful belief. If money is fixed, society is protected. But that belief rests on an assumption. that the world around the system remains compatible with the constraint. And what happens when it isn't? When the world changes, adjustment is unavoidable. Growth, decline, crises, and shocks all require systems to respond. In hard money systems, adjustment is harder to absorb through monetary policy without breaking the anchor. So adjustment doesn't disappear. It is displaced. Instead of showing up primarily in the currency, adjustment moves into the real economy. Wages fall instead of prices adjusting. Jobs disappear instead of money expanding. Nominal debts grow heavier in real terms, increasing financial stress and default risk. The numbers stay stable, but the strain becomes personal. Workers absorb it through unemployment. Borrowers absorb it through debt burdens. Communities absorb it through decline. The money remains sound, society absorbs the shock. But how long can a society absorb that pressure before stability turns into strain? Constraints work when they remain aligned with reality. As long as change is gradual and shocks are limited, rigid systems can hold. But societies don't remain simple. Economies diversify, trade networks deepen, debt accumulates, financial systems grow more interconnected. As complexity increases, the same constraint becomes tighter. What once felt like discipline becomes rigidity. Adjustment no longer happens smoothly. It accumulates. Unemployment lasts longer. Wages compress instead of recovering. Debt burdens concentrate. Inequality widens. The monetary rule still holds. The currency remains sound, but social cohesion weakens. Pressure that can't be released economically begins to express itself politically and socially. Systems don't fracture because the rules fail, they fracture because the rules hold too tightly. Discipline is the promise at the heart of hard money, and under the right conditions, it works. When economies are stable, when debt levels are manageable, when change is slow. But those conditions don't last forever. As pressures accumulate, discipline without flexibility becomes a liability. Hard money systems don't fail because they lack rules. They fail because rules cannot absorb large or repeated shocks. When adjustment is blocked at the monetary level, it has to occur somewhere else, in employment, income, debt, and social stability. Eventually, societies face a trade-off. Defend the constraint and accept rising social strain, or relax the constraint to regain the ability to adapt. That choice isn't ideological, it's structural. Hard money eventually reaches a point where maintaining discipline requires outcomes a society can no longer sustain. That isn't a moral failure, it's a design limit. When societies reach that limit, they don't abandon discipline altogether. They change where adjustment happens. Fiat money doesn't remove constraints. It relocates them. Instead of society absorbing the full shock, part of the adjustment shifts into the currency itself. And that shift, from social strain to monetary strain, is what we explore in the next episode. Hard money is part of TNBC Explainers Module 3, Economy, Money, and Financial Power. Explore the TNBC Explainers course via the YouTube course list or visit thenextbigcycle.world for the full course overview and background. This is The Next Big Cycle, TNBC Explainers, your guide to understanding the systems shaping the world around you. TNBC Explainers is a growing YouTube course. New concepts are added over time,